Hi there. Money is not a four-letter word. What I mean is that in India, we are all brought up thinking that money is a very bad word to know. If you talk about money, you are money minded. You are only thinking about money as if it is a curse. Everybody conveniently forgets that money is actually very, very important for our livelihood and future. So, why do we give money such a bad word? Well, I am not qualified enough to answer all that, but I have seen, at least in the last few years, when I've been coaching people and maybe have coached hundreds of people, and realized that there are some deep rooted biases or prejudices against money. Everybody wants it, but nobody wants to talk about it. Now, I am not a qualified money manager or expert in money management and financial products, so I'm not here to talk about that. Having spoken to 500 plus mid career professionals, I have zeroed down on some key themes that we can all draw from all of these people. I will leave the action to you, but I will share with you what I have noticed. So, we will talk about five common money mistakes that mid career professionals make, especially in India. These mistakes could obviously cost you in the long run, sometimes even in the short run as well, and definitely impact the financial security and peace of mind. And that is how I got involved in this question. When people come to me for coaching, I noticed that the root cause of many of these situations was in poor money management, inability to manage their own finances. They were earning quite okay, but they had got into a situation where there was a real issue for them in terms of money. Of course, most of it is down to proper planning. If you don't plan, you will find yourself scrambling towards covering essential expenses. Even when you have the money, you might not have it ready for spending. The good news is that all of these mistakes are actually avoidable. I will share with you some of these that I have learned. Who am I? My name is Anshuman Tiwari. I'm a senior IT services professional and also coach people in their mid-career crisis and help out people with career transitions, career moves, and so on. But more on that later. Right now, let's dive into these money mistakes. Money mistake number one, not saving enough for retirement. Most of us are working in the private sector and there is no official government pension program. Actually, even for the government servants, there is no pension program now in some years because all of that has been shifted to the NPS, which is the National Pension Scheme. We, most of us that I have met, the people I have coached, think that we have plenty of time. We will build a corpus. And they keep thinking such till they are in 40s. And then they realize it is way too late because they will not be able to save in the remaining 15, 20 years that they have. And with so many layoffs, so many issues with career or longer careers, you don't know whether you will last till 60. So you might be planning at 40 that you have 20 years to corpus. What if you are fired at 50 and don't get a job for another 10 years? Don't think it happens only to others. It could happen to you, me, anybody else. Recently, I spoke to a guy, let's call him Anil. He started earning very well in his early 30s. Of course, along with starting to earn well, his expenses rose and he did not prioritize retirement savings. He's now in his late 40s. Career has stagnated. His salary levels are actually much stagnant for the last 10 years, which means he's not making as much money as he used to. And now he's struggling to build a corpus. You could be that Anil. So start now, especially if you're in late 20s, early 30s, start now, invest in NPS or other kind of mutual fund. I am not the qualified money expert, so I will not advise you on that. There are hundreds of other people. Listen to anybody who makes sense to you, but please start early. Don't postpone your retirement corpus to in your 40. There are multiple retirement calculators that use any of that. My message really is that number one mistake that I see people make is not saving enough for their retirement. Mistake number two, ignoring health insurance. Many of us are working in large corporates and may have health insurance as a part of the package. Fine. But with so much happening across the industry, layoffs and other things, and sometimes people also, leave a job and join the next job after a month or so. And they make a cardinal mistake. What if something happens in that 1 month? I'll give you my own example. In the last few jobs, I have always joined the new job on Friday, making sure it is a working day. So I am only uninsured for a few hours between the Thursday night and Friday morning. I'm not kidding. This is extremely important. And I learned this from a recruitment manager. And she explained to me that if you are planning to join on Monday, why don't you join on a Friday? Now, this might sound trivial, but you hopefully get the point. Yes, if you are employed by a large corporate, you will be covered. But A, it might not be enough. And COVID has told us that it will not be enough when the time comes. And B, what if you are unemployed? So my recommendation is that, find your personal health insurance, which will stay on with you irrespective of whether you are in a job, out of a job, in between two jobs, or in case of extreme emergency where your company provided health cover may not be enough. Few months ago, I spoke to a lady called Kavita. And all these names in this video are actually changed names, so don't worry. She learned all this the hard way, and she was very happy to find a new job. And in between those two jobs, she took a 1 month break, thinking she will recharge her batteries, and she did not have insurance. There was a major emergency in her family, and she's a single mother. They could not cover for the child's expense. Of course, eventually everything got sorted out, but there was a crisis situation. And of course, a lot of money which she had saved for retirement had to be pumped into this medical emergency. So get a separate health insurance policy, ensure it covers you and your family for a long period. Add critical illnesses to this. I don't care which insurance policy you take, which company you go to, not qualified again. All I'm saying is that having spoken to so many mid-career professionals, I see this as a major mistake that people make. Mistake number 3, over-dependence on a single source of income. Of course, I'm not suggesting you moonlight, you add another job to your career. None of that. I'm responsible enough not to suggest all of that. Relying on one salary alone is becoming risky because of the industrial scenario we are in today. You could be performing really well, but you could be out of a job because of completely different reasons. And you may not find a job for another 6 months or a year, sometimes even longer. What will you do in that situation? You need some source of income to run your basic expenses. Even if you curtail down your fancy expenses, you will need some income for your basic expenses. For example, I was speaking to a good friend recently, Rajesh, and he was laid off during company restructuring, but he had been very smart about his investments, and he had made investments of the kind where the money was available to him. Of course, it was not as much as a regular job would provide, but his family was taken care of because of Rajesh's intelligent decisions maybe 5-6 years ago. So be that person and invest wisely in some kind of income stream. Of course, you could invest in stocks, property, have a side business. You could have something on the side which gives you a little extra. You could be teaching at some institute. You could be doing something else or some kind of passive income. Do whatever it takes. But please have something which will help you add an additional income stream. Again, important, not suggesting moonlighting, not suggesting anything of that kind. Mistake number 4, taking too much debt. And the worst culprit in this is credit cards. Credit cards and personal loans pile up really quickly, and the interest rates on these are horrendous, not only in India, all over the world. And it is extremely tempting to see that shiny phone in your hand and think that, oh, I want this. You don't want that. You don't need it. A rupees 10,000, 15,000 phone is also okay if you don't have the means to buy a 1 lakh rupee phone. I tell this to all my team members, particularly during bonus time, that don't waste that money. Without a plan, you will certainly drown in debt. And once in debt, it is a very, very vicious cycle. You will borrow again to pay off the first debt, then you will borrow to pay off the second debt, and this does not end. It makes sense for some big ticket items like maybe a house, a car, or education loan to be under debt, because then you are focused on returning that very, very quickly. When you take cheaper debt for smaller items like phones and other things or household goods, you don't see that as major expenses and you are not so focused on returning that money quickly. As a result, you end up paying much more, and the only people smiling are the banks and financial institutions. And this happens a lot. Recently speaking to another person I was coaching, Shalini, she was using her credit card freely for more than a year or so. This credit card came with a lot of new schemes like three equal installments and no zero cost installments and so on. And she got into this trap of overspending. And within 6 months, she had humongous debt. And of course, the credit card company was knocking on her door because she had been delaying payments. And she was, of course, also paying interest on that, delayed payment and so on. Don't be that person at all. Cut your credit card use it only in situations where you need it. Pay off your high interest loans first. Find some formula. Like one thing going across the world today in is frugal living, that save 50% of your income straight away. So if you get 1 lakh per month, 50,000 goes into some investment fund directly. So your salary comes down to only 50,000. Then manage within that 50,000. Of course, I understand that early in your career, this is not possible because your income may not be high enough to save 50%. But I know people who save 75%. I myself save much more than 50% on a monthly basis, even at this stage. Coming to the last money mistake number 5, not planning for big expenses later in life. Now, you might be 30 today listening to this video thinking that what is this 50-year-old guy telling me? But I can tell you, 50 comes really, really fast. You won't realize, you won't figure out how the 20 years from 30 to 50 went away. And then you realize, in the hardest possible way, you don't have the money that you want for your children's education, their marriage, or starting a business, or helping the kids start a business, or any of those things. Many of these things start hitting you in your late 40s and early 50s. When your time to party is over and your children's time to party has started, and you are expected to fund that. You might want to fund that as well, but you may not be able to fund it if you've not planned it. There are a lot of friends of yours, I'm sure, where you see that they are able to send their children abroad for studies or invest significantly in their studies. How are they able to do it? They don't earn significantly more than you. They have just planned better. So be that person and start saving early. Create a special fund for your goal. There are multiple wealth managers and fund schemes and all that. Again, not here to suggest which one. Do your due diligence. But certainly do start saving early for all these things. What I do religiously is that for the last 20 odd years, maybe more than that, I've been saving significant amount in systematic investment plans because I don't have the time and patience and the knowledge to figure out which stock to buy and what not to buy. I made my mistakes, but learned my lessons quickly that a bulk of my savings investment for future expenses go all of this. And recently when I had to spend a lot for my elder son's education, all of that money came handy because I was able to pay for his education very easily without changing my life. So in conclusion, while everybody around you may think that money is a 4-letter word, it's a cursed word. If you're talking about money, you are money minded and all of that. Remember, you are the one responsible. You have to take care of your family. You have to take care of the future expenses, not only your family future expenses, but your own older self. I'll share with you a very glaring statistics. At the turn of the century in 2000, the average Indian age at death was 62 years. The same number will be 72 in 2025. In only 25 years, we have gained 10 years. Of course, this is possible because of nutrition, urbanization, access to healthcare, and so many other things. But for the first time in history, 10 years have been added to an average age of a nation, average age at death, within a 25-year span. We are not ready for this. You are not ready for this. You may think you are ready, but you are not ready for this. By the time most of you listening in your 30s, 40s, when you get to your 70s, this age number might become 80. So you will definitely live till then, most of you. Who will take care of all that expense that you will have then? You won't be working. So You may want to listen to all the retire early and all that fun stuff, but the vast majority, the 99% of you listening to this, need to be very, very careful about your money. Don't waste it. Be wise, invest early. Make sure you don't make mid career money mistakes, the ones that I explained. Start making smart financial decisions today and thank me. If you have watched till this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your small subscription means a lot to me. So, with that, till the next time, manage better. Thank